Modern Money Secrets Millionaires Don't Share, written and published by Imperium Audiobooks. There's a reason most people work hard their entire lives and never get ahead, while a small group seems to create wealth almost effortlessly. It isn't luck. It isn't just talent. And it isn't because they're hiding some magic formula in a vault. It's because millionaires live by a different set of money habits, silent rules and hidden strategies that most of the world will never even hear about. Money is not only about earning, it's about understanding. The wealthy don't just trade time for dollars, they play an entirely different game. They know how to make money work for them instead of working endlessly for it. They know how to use leverage, how to build networks, how to protect their assets, and how to grow wealth in ways that are invisible to the average eye. The truth is, these secrets are all around you, but they're not taught in schools, not explained by your employer, and rarely shared by those who've mastered them. Millionaires don't usually announce the systems that make them rich. They just live by them quietly, while everyone else struggles. That changes now. In this audiobook, I'm pulling back the curtain. We're going to explore the hidden money principles, mindset shifts, and actionable strategies that separate those who accumulate wealth from those who only dream of it. You'll learn how to think like a millionaire, how to handle money like a millionaire, and how to build habits that slowly but surely move you into the world of financial freedom. And here's my promise to you: by the time you finish this audiobook, you'll never see money the same way again. You'll stop treating it as something scarce and intimidating and start treating it as a tool you can master. You'll walk away with secrets that can completely change the way you earn, save, invest, and create wealth. So lean in. Take this seriously. This isn't just another lecture on budgeting or saving a few pennies. This is a masterclass on the unspoken rules of wealth, the ones millionaires live by, but rarely share. By the end, you'll not only understand the game, you'll be ready to play it differently. Chapter 1. The hidden mindset of wealth. Before a millionaire makes their first investment, buys their first property, or launches their first company, they make a shift inside their mind. This is the very first money secret, and it's one most people overlook. Wealth is built from mindset before it's built from money. Without this shift, every financial strategy you try will crumble. With it, even small steps compound into extraordinary results. The average person thinks about money through the lens of survival. They worry about paying bills, covering expenses, and avoiding debt. Their relationship with money is rooted in fear and scarcity. They say things like, "I can't afford this," or "I wish I had more," but it's never enough. This constant focus on lack keeps them stuck in a cycle of earning and spending with no forward momentum. Millionaires think differently. They view money not as something to chase, but as something to command. Instead of asking, "How do I get by?" they ask, "How do I multiply?" They see money as a tool, not a master. This shift might sound subtle, but it changes everything. When you see money as a servant, you treat it differently. You give it assignments, you direct it toward growth, and you hold it accountable to produce results. Let's break this down further. Wealthy people live by the habit of abundance thinking. They believe opportunities are everywhere, and because they believe it, they see them. If a market shifts, most people panic. Millionaires adapt. They look for the opening, the hidden angle, the door that swings wide when others walk away. That's not because they're lucky. It's because they're trained to expect possibility. Another key piece of the millionaire mindset is long-term vision. Most people think in weeks or months. They want instant gratification, a quick raise, a fast return, a lucky break. Millionaires think in decades. They build habits, businesses, and investments with the patience of farmers planting seeds. They know wealth is not an overnight explosion, but the result of consistent compounding. Because of this, they're not shaken by temporary setbacks. A bad month or even a bad year doesn't scare them. They see it as part of a much bigger picture. Here's the secret you must internalize: money magnifies who you are. If you're careless, impatient, or fearful, more money won't fix that, it will multiply it. But if you're disciplined, focused, and abundant-minded, more money amplifies those strengths. That's why millionaires obsess about building character as much as they do building accounts. They know that without the right mindset, wealth slips away just as quickly as it comes. So how can you begin shifting into this hidden mindset of wealth? Start with these millionaire habits. Replace scarcity language. Never again say, "I can't afford it." Instead ask, "How can I create the resources to afford it?" This single shift trains your brain to search for solutions instead of shutting down. Think in terms of assets, not income. Millionaires don't just ask, "How much am I making?" They ask, "What am I building that will keep paying me?" That's the difference between chasing money and commanding money. Detach from instant gratification. When faced with a choice, ask yourself, what would the wealthier version of me do? Often the answer will require patience, discipline, and foresight. Surround yourself with wealth-minded influences. The conversations you absorb shape your beliefs. If everyone around you complains about money, you'll inherit their mindset. If you start listening to those who see abundance, you'll inherit theirs. One of the greatest untold truths is that millionaires rarely feel lucky. What looks like luck to outsiders is usually the natural result of years of seeing the world differently, making choices from abundance, and acting with ownership. When an opportunity appears, they're already prepared. When a setback comes, they already expected it. Their mindset creates resilience. This is why mindset is the first secret. It builds the foundation. Without it, even if you land a windfall, it will vanish. With it, even if you start small, your habits will compound into wealth. So remember, before you change your bank account, change your beliefs. Wealth is not something you chase, it's something you attract when you think like those who already have it. Chapter 2. Why most people will never become wealthy. The harsh truth is that wealth is not denied to most people by chance, circumstance, or bad luck. It's denied by patterns of thought and behavior that almost guarantee financial stagnation. Millions of hard-working individuals put in long hours, yet their bank accounts remain thin, their debts rise, and their financial dreams fade into frustration. Why? Because they unknowingly live by rules that keep them poor. Millionaires operate by a different set of rules entirely. To understand their secrets, you must first see why the majority fail. Imagine two roads. One is wide, crowded, and well-worn. The other is narrow, quiet, and rarely traveled. The wide road is where the majority live financially, spending as they earn, working only for a paycheck, and reacting to life instead of designing it. The narrow road is where wealth is built, where discipline, intention, and delayed gratification pave the way. Most people will never step onto that second road, not because it's hidden, but because it requires choices that feel uncomfortable at first. One of the greatest traps is consumer thinking. From a young age, people are conditioned to measure success by what they own, the car in their driveway, the brand of clothes they wear, the size of their home. This creates a cycle of earning and spending that leaves no room for building. Millionaires think like producers, not consumers. Instead of asking, "What can I buy with this money?" they ask, "How can I use this money to create more?" That small mental shift changes a lifetime of outcomes. Another reason most people fail is fear of risk. The average person has been taught to avoid mistakes at all costs. They're told to play it safe, keep a steady job, and never gamble. But safety is an illusion. By avoiding risks, they accept the slow erosion of inflation, rising costs, and stagnation. Millionaires, on the other hand, embrace calculated risk. They don't recklessly gamble, they study, prepare, and then move boldly. They know that growth requires discomfort, and that failure is not the end, it's tuition for success. Then there's the issue of time perspective. Most people live paycheck to paycheck, not just financially but mentally. They think about today's bills, this week's expenses, or next month's rent. Wealth requires a longer horizon. Millionaires ask, Where will this decision put me in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years? They are willing to endure short-term sacrifice for long-term gain. The average person avoids short-term discomfort and pays for it with lifelong struggle. Let's not forget the environment trap. People rarely outgrow the mindset of the circle around them. If your friends complain about money, avoid responsibility, or laugh at ambition, you will unconsciously mirror them. Millionaires are intentional about their circle. They surround themselves with mentors, peers, and partners who stretch their thinking. They know wealth is contagious when you're in the right company, and poverty is just as contagious in the wrong one. Here's another truth. Most people want wealth, but they don't respect it. They crave financial freedom, yet they waste money on meaningless things. They say they want to be rich, yet they never read a single book on money, never track their expenses, never build a budget, and never invest. Millionaires, by contrast, respect money deeply. They study it, track it, measure it, and multiply it. They treat money like a disciplined soldier that must be trained, directed, and commanded. And perhaps the greatest reason most people will never become wealthy is this: they trade their time for money, instead of using money to buy back time. The average person earns by the hour, or the salary. When they stop working, their income stops too. Millionaires build systems, assets, and investments that keep paying them even while they sleep. They don't want to be the hardest worker, they want to be the smartest builder. So ask yourself, which patterns are you following right now? Are you stuck in consumer thinking, buying things to look successful, instead of building things to become successful? Are you avoiding risk, clinging to safety while opportunities pass you by? Are you thinking in days instead of decades? Are you surrounded by people who drain ambition instead of fueling it? If you recognize yourself in these traps, don't be discouraged. Awareness is the first step. Most people never even notice the rules they live by. By exposing them, you give yourself the power to break them. You can step off the crowded road and onto the narrow path of wealth. But make no mistake, it will require unlearning, discipline, and courage. The secret millionaires never share openly is that their success isn't built on some mysterious advantage. It's built on doing the opposite of what most people do. Where others consume, they invest. Where others fear risk, they embrace it with preparation. Where others think short-term, they think long-term. Where others waste money, they respect it. Where others trade time for money, they trade money for freedom. That is why most people will never become wealthy, and why you can, if you're willing to think differently. Chapter 3. The hidden power of financial mindset. Wealth doesn't begin in your bank account. It begins in your mind. Every financial decision you've ever made, whether to save, spend, invest, or avoid risk, was first shaped by the way you think about money. And here's the critical truth. Most people never question their money mindset. They inherit it from their parents, absorb it from their culture, and repeat it unconsciously throughout their lives. Millionaires, however, actively rewire their minds for wealth. They understand that success is less about strategies and more about psychology. Think of your financial mindset as the operating system of your life. If your operating system is filled with bugs, fear of money, guilt about wealth, limiting beliefs, you'll keep running into crashes no matter how many new opportunities you try. Most people install the wrong programming early on. Sayings like "money doesn't grow on trees," "rich people are greedy," or "you have to work hard just to survive." These phrases sound harmless, but repeated over years they become mental commands that limit financial potential. Millionaires choose different beliefs. They reprogram their minds with empowering commands. Money is a tool to create freedom. Wealth gives me the power to help others. My time is more valuable than money, and opportunities are everywhere. Notice how these thoughts don't just sound positive. They create action. When you believe money is abundant, you seek it out. When you believe wealth is ethical, you pursue it without guilt. When you believe time is more valuable than money, you stop wasting hours on things that don't matter. One key shift in mindset is moving from scarcity thinking to abundance thinking. Scarcity says, there's not enough to go around. If someone else wins, I lose. Abundance says, there is more than enough wealth, opportunity, and success for everyone. Scarcity causes jealousy, competition, and fear. Abundance breeds creativity, generosity, and collaboration. Millionaires don't fear competition. They thrive in it because they know creating value expands the pie for everyone. Another powerful mindset shift is from security to freedom. Most people see money as a way to buy safety, a stable job, a predictable paycheck, a retirement plan. Millionaires see money as a way to buy freedom, the freedom to choose projects, to spend time with family, to travel, to create, to walk away from things they dislike. Security keeps you chained, freedom sets you free. When you reframe money as freedom, you stop making timid decisions and start making bold, liberating ones. Then comes the shift from working for money to having money work for you. The average person is mentally wired to be an employee forever. They ask, how much will I be paid for this work? The wealthy ask, how can this work create assets that keep paying me? This single mental pivot transforms how they approach business, investments, and even daily tasks. They don't just see money as something to spend, they see it as a worker, a soldier, an employee that should generate more income. But perhaps the most overlooked aspect of financial mindset is self-worth. Many people secretly feel they don't deserve wealth. They self-sabotage by undercharging, by avoiding opportunities, or by wasting money as soon as they get it. Millionaires believe the opposite. They believe their time, skills, and ideas are worthy of great reward. They carry themselves with confidence, negotiate boldly, and demand the value they deserve. This isn't arrogance, it's self-respect. And money flows toward those who respect their own worth. Now, here's the secret most self-help books miss. Your mindset isn't just changed by affirmations or positive thinking. It's rewired by consistent action. Millionaires reinforce their beliefs through daily habits. If they believe time is more valuable than money, they actually delegate small tasks. If they believe wealth is abundant, they invest instead of hoarding. If they believe they deserve wealth, they make bold moves to earn it. Belief without action is just wishful thinking. Action proves belief and locks it into your subconscious. Let's pause for a moment and apply this to you. What money beliefs are you carrying right now? When you hear the word wealth, what emotions rise? Excitement, guilt, envy, disbelief. Those emotions reveal your programming. If you catch yourself thinking, I'll never be rich, realize it's not a fact. It's a mental script someone handed you. You can delete it. You can install new beliefs. And every time you act in alignment with those beliefs, you strengthen them. To rewire your money mindset, try this simple 3-step process. Awareness. Write down every money belief you remember hearing as a child. Don't judge them. Just notice. Challenge. Ask yourself, is this belief universally true, or just a story I've accepted? For example, money is the root of all evil isn't true. It's a story that justifies failure. Replace. Install a new belief with action. If your old belief says, I can't save money, replace it with I always pay myself first. Then prove it by saving even a small amount consistently. This process, repeated daily, rewires your financial mind. In 30 days, you'll notice new confidence. In 90 days, you'll see new behaviors. In a year, you'll have built a new identity. That's how millionaires think differently, not by luck, but by deliberate mindset design. Remember, wealth doesn't come to those who get lucky. It comes to those who prepare their minds to recognize, attract, and use opportunities. If you want to unlock the secrets millionaires don't share, start not with your wallet, but with your thoughts. Chapter 4. The secret of leveraging time and energy. If there is one thing millionaires value more than money, It is time. Money is renewable. You can lose it and earn it again. Time, on the other hand, once spent is gone forever. The wealthiest people on the planet understand this distinction, and they build their entire lives around it. They don't just work hard. They work smart by leveraging their time and energy in ways the average person doesn't even consider. For most people, the logic is simple. You exchange hours for dollars. You put in 8 hours, and you get a paycheck. But here's the trap. You only have 24 hours in a day, and even if you work all of them, you are capped. No matter how disciplined, motivated, or talented you are, you cannot scale your hours beyond your human limits. Millionaires know this, so they refuse to play the game of trading time for money. Instead, they learn how to multiply their time through leverage. Leverage is the invisible force behind wealth creation. It allows 1 hour of effort to produce the results of $1 invested to create 100, one conversation to open doors to an entire network. Leverage can come in different forms: people, systems, money, or technology. The average worker avoids leverage because it feels risky or complicated. Millionaires embrace it because it is the only path to exponential growth. Let's start with people leverage. Millionaires know they cannot do everything themselves. They surround themselves with capable teams, assistants, advisors, and partners. They delegate tasks that drain them, not because they are lazy, but because their energy is too valuable to waste on things that don't move the needle. If a millionaire can hire someone to handle a $20 an hour task, they gladly do so, because their focus is on creating $2,000 an hour value. Most people cling to tasks out of fear of spending money. Millionaires let go of tasks so they can create more money. Next is system leverage. This is about building repeatable processes that work without constant supervision. Think of a franchise model. Once a system is perfected, it can be duplicated endlessly. Millionaires build businesses that run with systems, not just with their direct effort. They automate what they can: emails, billing, marketing funnels, so their business continues working even when they sleep. The result? Their time is multiplied across every system they've created. Then comes financial leverage. This is where money itself works as a multiplier. While most people save money out of fear, millionaires invest it with purpose. They use capital to buy assets that generate passive income: real estate, stocks, businesses. They understand the principle of compounding. Small amounts, consistently invested, grow into massive fortunes. They also understand the power of using other people's money, through loans, investors, or partnerships, to create opportunities far bigger than what they could afford alone. Finally, there's technological leverage. Millionaires are quick to adopt tools and platforms that scale their reach. A single video, podcast, or digital product can reach millions without additional time invested. Technology transforms effort into scale. Consider authors who self-publish an e-book. They write once, but the book sells thousands of times. That's leverage. Or entrepreneurs who build apps that serve millions simultaneously. Again, leverage at work. But here's the deeper layer. Millionaires don't just leverage external resources. They also master the leverage of their own energy. They know when they are most productive, when to rest, when to delegate, and when to push. They guard their mental and physical energy fiercely, because they understand that fatigue leads to poor decisions, and poor decisions cost millions. While most people burn out trying to do it all, millionaires optimize their lives to sustain peak performance over decades. This is why routines, rituals, and habits are so critical to wealthy individuals. They build morning routines that energize them. They maintain health to keep their energy sharp, and they constantly audit their lives for energy leaks. A toxic relationship, a draining environment, or a distracting habit is not just an annoyance. It is a liability that directly affects their wealth. Millionaires eliminate these leaks ruthlessly. because they know every ounce of wasted energy is an ounce of lost opportunity. Think about it. How often do you waste hours on tasks that someone else could do better? How many times do you drain yourself with activities that don't generate income or joy? Every moment you spend out of alignment with your highest value is a form of self-sabotage. Millionaires know this truth. Your time and energy are the most valuable currencies you own. Protect them, multiply them, use them wisely, and wealth follows naturally. Here's a simple framework you can apply starting today. Eliminate. Cut out tasks and commitments that add no real value. Automate. Use technology to handle repetitive processes. Delegate. Pay others to handle low-value tasks so you can focus on high-value creation. Concentrate. Spend your best energy on the few actions that create the greatest results. If you implement just this framework, you will immediately feel the difference. You'll create more in less time, reduce stress and open doors to greater opportunities. Remember, millionaires don't have more hours in the day than you. They simply use them differently. Leverage is the quiet multiplier that explains why some people seem to create wealth effortlessly, while others grind endlessly without progress. If you want to uncover the secrets millionaires don't share, start by asking yourself one question each day. How can I multiply my time and energy instead of merely spending them? Because when you learn to leverage, you stop living within the limits of your own hours and start tapping into infinite possibility. Chapter 5. The Untold Value of Building Millionaire Networks. If there is one truth that echoes throughout the lives of the wealthy, it is this: your network is your net worth. Millionaires know they cannot rise alone. They understand that opportunities, ideas, and wealth flow through relationships. While most people focus solely on building skills or working harder, millionaires invest enormous energy into cultivating connections. These networks don't just provide friendship, they provide access, leverage, and exponential growth. For the average person, networking often feels transactional. They think it's about collecting business cards, sending LinkedIn requests, or making small talk at events. But millionaires think differently. They don't chase shallow contacts, they build meaningful relationships. They know that a single strong connection can unlock doors that years of effort could not. Consider this: a millionaire doesn't always have the best idea, the most money, or even the most talent, but they know someone who does. They are connected to investors, mentors, advisors, partners, and like-minded peers. And because of these relationships, they don't need to reinvent the wheel or carry the burden alone. Their networks act as amplifiers, multiplying their potential. One of the hidden secrets of networking is the principle of social capital. Social capital is the invisible currency that exists between people: trust, respect, reputation, and goodwill. Millionaires carefully build and protect their social capital because they know it can be more valuable than money itself. A recommendation from the right person can change your life. An introduction from a trusted friend can lead to partnerships worth millions. But here's the key: millionaires don't approach relationships with a "what can I take" mindset. They approach with a "what can I give" mindset. They add value first, sharing insights, offering help, making introductions, providing solutions. This generosity builds trust and reciprocity, which over time turns into powerful alliances. Most people enter relationships looking to extract. Millionaires enter relationships looking to create. That's why their networks become lifelong assets. Think about how this applies in practice. Imagine two entrepreneurs. One works alone, trying to figure out every challenge by themselves. They struggle, burn out, and eventually stall. The other entrepreneur invests time in meeting investors, attending industry events, helping peers, and cultivating mentors. When they hit a wall, they don't panic. They make a call. Someone in their network has the answer, the resource, or the connection to move them forward. That's the difference between isolation and collaboration. Another dimension of millionaire networks is environmental influence. You've probably heard the saying, "You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with." Millionaires take this literally. They intentionally surround themselves with people who inspire them, challenge them, and elevate their standards. If you spend time with pessimists, complainers, and people who fear risk, their mindset will rub off on you. If you spend time with visionaries, risk-takers, and builders, their energy will shape you too. Here's a hidden truth. Millionaires often pay to be in the right rooms. They join mastermind groups, attend high-ticket events, or hire coaches, not just for the content but for the connections. They understand that being in proximity to the right people can accelerate success faster than any book or course. Proximity is power. One lunch with the right person could be worth more than years of trial and error. But networks aren't just about business. Millionaires also use their connections to protect themselves emotionally and psychologically. They build circles of support that keep them grounded during setbacks. They lean on peers who understand the challenges of building wealth. While most people face their struggles alone, millionaires draw strength from communities that empower them. This is one of the least discussed but most valuable secrets of their success. So how do you begin building a network like this? It starts with intentionality. Stop waiting for the right people to stumble into your life. Seek them out. Attend events in your field, join communities of growth-minded people, and don't be afraid to invest in environments where high-value relationships live. Then, focus on contribution. Offer your skills, your knowledge, your time. When you consistently add value, you'll be surprised how quickly doors open. And remember, networks grow through consistency, not occasional bursts. Millionaires don't just network once in a while, they nurture relationships over years. They follow up. They check in without an agenda. They celebrate others' successes. This steady cultivation builds bonds that last decades. Here's the challenge for you. Take an honest look at your current circle. Are the people around you pushing you forward or holding you back? Are they opening doors or closing them? If your environment is filled with negativity, it's costing you wealth. Begin upgrading your circle, one relationship at a time. Because here's the secret. Millionaires don't often say out loud, money flows through people. Every opportunity you want, every client, every deal, every investment will come through another human being. When you master the art of building powerful networks, you stop struggling alone and start tapping into the collective power of many. And when that happens, your net worth is no longer limited to your own efforts. It expands with every connection you build. Chapter 6. Turning failure into fuel. Failure is a word most people fear. It carries shame, disappointment, and the heavy weight of regret. Society teaches us to avoid it at all costs, to stay safe, follow the rules, and never risk embarrassment. But here's the hidden truth. Millionaires don't fear failure. They embrace it, study it, and use it as fuel for success. What separates the wealthy from the average is not the absence of mistakes, but their radically different relationship with failure. For most people, failure is final. It feels like the end of the road. A business idea collapses, and they never try again. An investment goes wrong, and they swear off risk forever. A deal falls apart, and they retreat into safety. Millionaires see failure not as an end, but as information. To them, every misstep is data, every loss is feedback, every setback is a lesson in disguise. They don't ask, "Why did this happen to me?" They ask, "What is this teaching me?" Take the example of Thomas Edison. He famously failed thousands of times before inventing the light bulb. But he didn't describe those attempts as failures. He called them discoveries, discovering thousands of ways that did not work. That shift in language is the mindset of the wealthy. They don't take failure personally. They don't take failure personally. They don't let it define their worth. They treat it as part of the process of innovation and wealth creation. The average person looks for certainty before acting. Millionaires act before certainty exists, knowing failure is inevitable along the way. They don't wait until everything is perfect. They launch, They test, they adapt. Each failure sharpens their skills, builds resilience, and guides them closer to success. In fact, most millionaires will tell you that their biggest wins were built on the foundation of their biggest failures. But there's another dimension here. Failure builds resilience, and resilience builds wealth. When you fail and keep going, you develop grit, the ability to endure discomfort without breaking. Wealth creation is not a straight path. It is filled with obstacles, downturns, and unforeseen challenges. Those who cannot stomach failure give up early. Those who embrace it develop the mental armor to survive the storms and keep moving forward. Consider entrepreneurs who built empires after losing everything. Walt Disney faced bankruptcy multiple times before creating his empire. Henry Ford failed with his first 2 automotive companies before launching Ford Motor Company. These stories are not outliers. They are patterns. Millionaires don't succeed in spite of failure. They succeed because of it. Each failure strips away naivety, teaches hard lessons, and strengthens the foundation for lasting success. There is also a subtle but powerful truth. Failure clarifies desire. Many people pursue goals half-heartedly, only to quit when things get tough. Failure tests commitment. When you fail but still want it badly enough to try again, that desire transforms into determination. Millionaires don't stop at the first rejection or the 10th setback because their vision burns too deeply. Failure simply sharpens their hunger. So how do you begin to reframe failure as fuel? Start with language. Instead of saying "I failed," say "I learned." Replace "this is the end" with "this is a step." Language directs thought, and thought directs action. Next, build a system for reflection. Every time you stumble, write down 3 lessons you gained, then apply one immediately. This turns mistakes into momentum. Another tool millionaires use is the principle of failing fast. They don't drag out bad ideas or cling to sinking ships. They test quickly, learn quickly, and pivot quickly. The longer you avoid failure, the longer you delay growth. Failing fast shortens the learning curve and accelerates success. And here's a secret. Millionaires often share their failures openly. They use them as stories to inspire others, as credibility in business, and as proof of resilience. Instead of hiding failure, they brand it as experience. The very thing most people run from, they showcase as strength. Now reflect on your own life. How many opportunities have you avoided out of fear of failing? How many dreams have you delayed because you didn't want to be embarrassed? Every time you hide from failure, you hide from success. The two are inseparable. If you want one, you must be willing to accept the other. The wealthy understand this deeply. They do not chase perfection. They chase progress. They do not avoid mistakes. They mine them for gold. They know that each failure survived makes them stronger, wiser, and more prepared than the competition. So here is your challenge. Reframe failure as part of your journey. Instead of fearing the stumble, welcome it as proof that you're moving forward. Because the millionaire secret that no one tells you is this: failure isn't the opposite of success. It is the path to it. Chapter 7. The Power of Multiple Streams of Income. If there is one financial truth millionaires live by, it is this: never rely on a single stream of income. The average person works for one paycheck, tied to one employer, dependent on one source of financial stability. Millionaires, on the other hand, build layers of wealth through multiple streams. This is not an accident. It is a strategy, a mindset, and a safeguard. It is how they protect themselves from uncertainty while accelerating their journey to financial freedom. Relying on a single paycheck is like standing on one leg. It may hold for a while, but it is inherently unstable. Lose that paycheck, and everything collapses. Bills pile up, savings drain, and dreams are delayed. Millionaires don't allow themselves to be that vulnerable. Instead, they spread their financial roots wide, so that if one stream dries up, others keep flowing. One of the biggest myths about wealth is that millionaires earn their fortune from one big hit, one successful company, one lucky investment, one windfall. In reality, most millionaires sustain wealth by diversifying their income. They might own businesses, invest in real estate, hold stocks, create intellectual property, or earn royalties. Each stream adds stability, freedom, and opportunity. It is not about luck, it is about structure. Think of income streams as rivers flowing into a reservoir. The more rivers you have, the more abundant your reservoir becomes. If drought strikes one river, the reservoir still fills from others. Millionaires understand this law of financial nature. They don't wait until their wealth is secure to diversify. They diversify on the way to wealth. But here's the key. Multiple streams of income do not mean working multiple jobs. That's a trap many fall into, thinking the only way to earn more is to add another job, another boss, another paycheck. Millionaires don't trade more hours for more money. They focus on assets that produce money without constant labor. Businesses, systems, and investments become their engines. The wealthy think in terms of cash flow, not just paychecks. Consider real estate. Rental properties generate monthly cash flow while appreciating in value over time. A single property might not make you rich, but multiple properties build a steady stream of income that compounds over years. Consider investments. Dividend-paying stocks, index funds, or bonds generate money passively. Then there's intellectual property, books, courses, or products that earn royalties long after the initial work is done. Millionaires look at every skill, every asset, every opportunity through the lens of how can this generate ongoing income. Another overlooked stream is business ownership. Millionaires often create or invest in businesses not just for the profits, but for the autonomy and scalability. A well-run business can generate income without the owner's daily presence, especially when systems and teams are in place. Unlike jobs, businesses can grow beyond the hours in a day. What truly separates the wealthy is their timeline. The average person thinks in terms of monthly paychecks. Millionaires think in terms of decades. They are willing to build income streams slowly, letting them grow and compound. The first rental property may seem small, the first dividend check may look insignificant, but stacked over time, they create financial independence. Here's another millionaire secret. They reinvest earnings to create new streams. Instead of spending every extra dollar, they recycle it into assets. Profits from one business fund and investment in another. Dividends from stocks, purchase real estate. Royalties from intellectual property fund startups. It's a cycle of compounding that multiplies wealth. To begin building multiple streams, you must start with what you already know. What skills do you have that could be monetized? Can you turn expertise into a course, a book, or a consulting offer? What assets are within reach? Could you invest in a property, even a small one? Could you begin with index funds or dividend stocks? Millionaires never say, "I don't have enough." They say, "What can I build with what I have?" It's also important to understand the difference between active and passive streams. Active income requires your time and effort, like running a service-based business. Passive income continues to flow with minimal ongoing effort, once set up, like investments or royalties. Millionaires blend the two, but their ultimate aim is to shift more into passive streams. This allows them to buy back their time while money continues to flow. Now reflect on your own situation. If your current job ended tomorrow, how many streams would still provide for you? For most people, the answer is zero. Millionaires design their lives so that money continues to flow no matter what happens. That freedom doesn't come overnight. It comes from consciously building layer upon layer of financial streams. The millionaire doesn't wait for security to diversify. They diversify to create security. They don't wait for abundance to invest. They invest to create abundance. They don't rely on luck or single paychecks. They build networks of income that work for them around the clock. So here is your challenge. Begin building your second stream of income. Don't wait until you feel ready. Don't wait until you have enough. Start now, even if it's small. The first stream beyond your paycheck is the hardest to create. But once you have it, you unlock the millionaire mindset. Because the true secret is not just in earning money. It's in multiplying the ways money finds its way to you. Chapter 8. Mastering the Psychology of Risk. Most people fear risk. Millionaires study it, embrace it, and ultimately master it. This single shift in how they view uncertainty is one of the most important reasons they build wealth while others remain stuck. Risk is not something to be avoided at all costs. It is something to be understood, managed, and leveraged. To millionaires, risk is not the enemy. It is the price of entry to opportunity. For the average person, risk feels like danger. It feels like the possibility of losing money, reputation, or stability. That's why most cling to safety, the steady job, the predictable paycheck, the illusion of security. But what many fail to realize is that avoiding risk is often the riskiest choice of all. Inflation eats away at savings. Companies restructure and lay off employees. Safe jobs vanish overnight. By avoiding risk, most people guarantee mediocrity. Millionaires think differently. They don't see risk as a gamble, but as a spectrum. Every opportunity comes with uncertainty, but instead of running from it, they analyze it. They ask, what is the downside? What is the upside? Can I afford to lose? Can I structure this so even if I fail, I learn or build something useful? This is the psychology of calculated risk. It's not blind bravery. It's intelligent courage. Think of risk as a muscle. For someone who has never taken a leap, even a small risk feels overwhelming. For millionaires who have taken hundreds of calculated risks, their tolerance is stronger. They know setbacks are not the end. They are part of the process. Each time they engage with uncertainty, they become more resilient. They train their minds to see risk, not as fear but as feedback. One of the most powerful tools millionaires use is asymmetric risk. That means seeking opportunities where the potential upside is far greater than the possible downside. For example, starting a small side business with $1,000 may risk losing that money, but the upside could be a six-figure business. Investing time to learn a new skill risks a few months of effort, but the payoff could be decades of higher earnings. Millionaires constantly look for bets where they risk little but stand to gain massively. They also mitigate risk with knowledge. Before investing, they study. Before launching, they prepare. Before partnering, they research. This doesn't eliminate risk, but it reduces unnecessary mistakes. Knowledge turns blind risk into informed decision-making. That's why millionaires are voracious learners. They know ignorance is expensive, while wisdom pays dividends. Another key element is diversification. As we discussed earlier, millionaires build multiple streams of income. This is not just about wealth, it is about risk management. When income comes from many sources, one failure does not destroy everything. Diversification allows millionaires to take bolder risks in one area because they have stability in others. But perhaps the biggest secret is that millionaires reframe failure. Where most see failure as an end, they see it as tuition. Every failed investment, every business that doesn't work out, every wrong move, these are lessons paid for in experience. Millionaires don't hide from these failures, they leverage them. They ask, what did this teach me? How can I use this knowledge to make the next move smarter? By treating failure as education, they remove much of the fear that paralyzes others. It's also worth noting that millionaires separate personal identity from risk. When most people fail, they take it personally. I failed, therefore I am a failure. Millionaires detach. To them, failure is external. It's the result of a strategy, timing, or execution, not a reflection of their worth. This detachment allows them to keep moving forward without shame or hesitation. Consider how millionaires approach investing. The average person avoids the stock market because it feels too risky. Millionaires study it, diversify, and invest consistently. They know there will be downturns, but they also know that over decades markets rise. They understand volatility is not the same as loss. It's only loss if you panic and sell. The average person fears temporary dips. Millionaires see them as opportunities to buy. The same psychology applies to entrepreneurship. Starting a business feels terrifying to most people. The risk of failure looms large. But millionaires focus on the skills gained, the connections built, and the experience earned even if the business doesn't succeed. To them, the worst-case scenario often isn't catastrophic, it's educational. This reframing gives them the courage to take leaps most never attempt. Here's the paradox. Millionaires are not reckless. They don't blindly throw money at ideas. They calculate, structure, and prepare. They protect themselves with legal structures, insurance, partnerships, and knowledge. They are cautious, but not paralyzed. They accept uncertainty as part of the journey, not as a barrier. Ask yourself, what risks are you avoiding right now that might actually be your gateway to growth? Are you clinging to a job because it feels safe, even though it caps your potential? Are you sitting on money because you fear losing it, while inflation quietly erodes it? Are you avoiding opportunities because failure feels too personal? These are the exact traps millionaires escape by shifting how they think about risk. The truth is, success always involves risk. There is no growth without it. The question is not whether you will face risk, but how you will approach it. Will you run from it, or will you analyze it, learn from it, and use it to move forward? Millionaires have mastered the psychology of risk, not because they never lose, but because they refuse to let fear keep them from playing the game. So here is your task. Identify one risk you've been avoiding, and break it down. Ask, what is the worst that can happen? What is the best that can happen? How can I limit the downside while maximizing the upside? Start small if needed, but start. Each risk you take will strengthen your tolerance, sharpen your thinking, and move you closer to the mindset of a millionaire. Chapter 9. Networking as a currency of the wealthy. When most people think about wealth, they think about money in the bank, investments in the market, or property on the ground. Millionaires, however, know that one of the most valuable forms of capital isn't financial at all, it's social. Your network, the people you know and the relationships you build, can often open doors that money alone cannot. For millionaires, networking is not just an activity, it's a currency. It's an asset they cultivate intentionally because they understand that access, information, and opportunity flow through people. The average person often treats networking as something transactional. They attend an event, hand out business cards, and hope someone will call them back. Millionaires approach it differently. They know that genuine long-term relationships are worth far more than a quick connection. They invest in people the same way they invest in companies, with patience, strategy, and the understanding that returns compound over time. Think about it. A single introduction can change the trajectory of your career or business. One mentor can save you years of trial and error. One investor can provide the seed money that launches your company. One collaborator can multiply your reach overnight. Millionaires never underestimate the power of who they know because they have lived the truth that opportunities rarely come from strangers, they come from trusted relationships. But here's what separates them from the average networker. Millionaires focus on giving before taking. They ask, how can I add value to this person? How can I help them succeed? They don't enter conversations with the mindset of extracting something. They build trust by being useful, reliable, and generous. This is why people are eager to help them in return. Reciprocity is the invisible fuel of powerful networks. They also understand the importance of environments. Millionaires deliberately place themselves in rooms where opportunity exists. They attend conferences, join mastermind groups, engage in industry associations, and connect with thought leaders. They know proximity matters. When you surround yourself with ambitious, forward-thinking people, your own vision expands. Ideas you once thought impossible suddenly feel normal because everyone around you is living proof. And while the average person might avoid reaching out to people they admire out of fear of rejection, millionaires are bold. They send that email. They ask for the meeting. They introduce themselves without apology. Not everyone will respond, but those who do can become lifelong allies. The truth is, people who are already successful often enjoy mentoring those who are driven because they see a reflection of their younger selves. Millionaires don't let fear of rejection close the door to these possibilities. Technology has also amplified the way they network. Platforms like LinkedIn, Twitter, or private online communities have become powerful tools for building relationships across industries and continents. Millionaires don't just scroll passively, they engage thoughtfully. They comment with insight, share resources, and create value even in digital spaces. Over time, this positions them as trusted voices, which naturally attracts opportunities. One of the most overlooked aspects of networking is maintenance. Millionaires don't just meet people once and disappear, they nurture their relationships. They check in, send articles, celebrate milestones, and genuinely stay connected. They understand that relationships are like gardens. You can't just plant seeds, you have to water them. Over time, this care builds loyalty, and loyal relationships are priceless in the world of business. Consider the role of mentors. Millionaires rarely try to figure everything out alone. They actively seek guidance from those who've walked the path ahead of them. This shortens their learning curve and helps them avoid costly mistakes. A strong mentor relationship is a form of social leverage, giving you access to wisdom that could take decades to earn on your own. And once millionaires benefit from mentors, they often become mentors themselves because teaching and guiding others further strengthens their own network. But networking is not only about business. Millionaires also build personal networks that support their mindset and well-being. They spend time with people who challenge them, inspire them, and hold them accountable. They minimize time with those who drain their energy or limit their vision. They know that success is contagious when you are in the right circle, and failure can be contagious too if you spend too much time around those who have given up. Now let's address the myth that networking is about being extroverted. Some people imagine that only charismatic, talkative personalities succeed in building connections. That isn't true. Many millionaires are introverts who build networks by listening deeply, asking thoughtful questions, and following up in meaningful ways. Networking isn't about being the loudest in the room. It's about being the most genuine, consistent, and valuable presence in someone's life. If money is a tool for growth, networking is the multiplier. Millionaires know they can't and shouldn't do everything alone. They build teams, partnerships, and alliances that accelerate their goals. They also understand that the right network can shield them from risks, offer insider knowledge, and provide opportunities that never reach the public. Connections often matter more than credentials, and access often matters more than raw talent. So how can you apply this in your own life? Start by shifting your mindset. Stop thinking of networking as getting something, and start thinking of it as building something. Look around at your current environment. Who do you already know that you can reconnect with? Who can you help without asking for anything in return? And who do you admire that you've been too afraid to approach? Take one step today. Send a message. Offer support. Start small, but start deliberately. Because here is the truth. Millionaires don't keep their wealth secrets locked in vaults. They share them with their networks. If you want to step into that world, your first step isn't just chasing money, it's building the relationships that create money. Chapter 10. Building a legacy beyond wealth. At some point, money stops being just about survival or even luxury. For millionaires who have mastered the game of wealth, the final and perhaps most profound secret is that true success lies not only in accumulating riches, but in creating impact that lasts beyond their lifetime. Wealth without purpose is hollow. Millionaires understand that their greatest return on investment is not only in dollars but in the legacy they leave behind. Legacy begins with mindset. The average person thinks in terms of days and months, paychecks, bills, and short-term goals. Millionaires think in decades and generations. They ask themselves, what will my family inherit, not only in wealth but in wisdom? How will my actions today affect the people I may never meet tomorrow? What kind of footprint will I leave on this world? This long-term thinking shapes their choices. They don't just chase what feels good now, they build for what will matter years from now. One part of legacy is financial inheritance. Many millionaires structure their wealth so their children, grandchildren, and even communities can benefit. They establish trusts, foundations, and long-term investments that outlive them. But here's the nuance: they also know that leaving money without values can be dangerous. That's why many focus equally on teaching their families about responsibility, discipline, and the mindset that created the wealth in the first place. Money without wisdom often vanishes in a generation. Millionaires work to pass on both. Another dimension of legacy is contribution. Look around at some of the wealthiest figures in history: Carnegie, Rockefeller, Gates, Buffett. Beyond their fortune, they are remembered for what they gave back: libraries, universities, foundations, cures for diseases, opportunities for others. Millionaires know that giving is not losing, it is multiplying. The more they give, the more their impact ripples outward, touching lives they will never meet. Contribution becomes a form of immortality, because their influence extends far beyond their own lifetime. Legacy also includes mentorship. Many millionaires dedicate time to guiding others, whether through formal programs or informal relationships. They know that sharing knowledge strengthens their own impact. A single idea passed to a mentee can influence businesses, communities, and even entire industries. By mentoring, they ensure that their principles and values continue to thrive in the hands of the next generation of leaders. But perhaps the most powerful legacy millionaires leave is cultural. It's the example they set, the way they live, the courage they embody, the risks they take, the kindness they show, and the standards they hold. These cultural legacies can shape entire families, organizations, and communities for decades. When you model resilience, vision, and generosity, those who follow you inherit more than wealth. They inherit a way of living. You may not have millions today, but you can begin thinking like a legacy builder. Ask yourself, what do I want to be remembered for? What lessons do I want to pass on? What impact can I create now, even with what I already have? You don't need to wait until you are wealthy to begin building a legacy. Every kind word, every mentorship, every act of generosity, and every principle you live by plants seeds that will grow into something larger than you. This is the final secret. Millionaires don't often share. Money is not the end, it's the tool. Wealth is powerful, but legacy is eternal. When you understand this, money takes on new meaning. It's no longer about ego or status. It becomes a means of creating something greater, something that endures long after you're gone. So as you walk away from this book, remember this: don't just aim to make money, aim to make a difference. Don't just measure your wealth by your bank account, measure it by the lives you touch, the values you pass down, and the change you create. Because when the final chapter of your life is written, your legacy will be your true wealth. Epilogue. You've now walked through the secrets millionaires rarely share: their mindset, their habits, their networks, their ability to see risk differently, and their commitment to legacy. By now you can see that wealth is not built by accident. It is built by intention, by discipline, by vision, and by action. And here's the final promise fulfilled. If you've truly listened, your perspective on money has shifted. You no longer see it as something mysterious or unattainable, but as a tool you can master. You no longer see millionaires as distant figures, but as examples of what is possible when you think and act differently. The next step is yours. Apply what you've learned. Start small, but start now. The secrets are no longer hidden. You hold them. The question is, what will you do with them? And if this audiobook inspired you, share it, live it, and let it fuel your journey. Subscribe to Imperium Audiobooks for more transformational wisdom, because your path to wealth and legacy is only beginning.